I decided, since it's a lot of work to film like a whole bunch of reviews at once and cut it together and all that, and because these things are coming out every week, and I wanted to get all my thoughts out about what's happening with Doctor Who right now, I figured, what the hell? Let's just go ahead and do live stream blogs on my feelings on the matter. So, of course, The Woman Who Fell to Earth just came out this week with our new doctor, Jodie Whittaker. Now, let's get the big thing out of the way first. Now, as you recall, I did close examinations where I basically talked about why this change was such a big deal and why it was essentially inevitable. So I embrace this change with open arms. Now, was my faith vindicated? Absolutely. To be honest, the thing I have the least problem with is Jodie Whittaker. She was spectacular in her first debut episode. I looked at her from the first time she busted through that roof of the train, and she came up, started being all doctory, nailed it. And after a while, I didn't see Jodie Whittaker playing it. I didn't see a woman playing the Doctor. I saw the Doctor, which was the vital thing we needed to see from this episode. And to that end, this episode, particularly as a post-regeneration episode, is very much a success. Now, it's vitally important to remember it's very hard for any actor to really define what they are going to bring to the table as a Doctor in their first episode. A lot of times it's all about just seeing them with this new face, with this new personality in there. Now, I will say I'm getting a lot of echoes of Tennant and even a lot of Smith in there, but I feel like as it's going to go on, Jodie's going to have a lot more of her own nuances thrown into the mix. So that is definitely something that's going to be seen for this, in the long run. Now, as far as the rest of it goes, now you've also got the new characters. You've got, Ryan. You've got Yaz, and you've got Graham, I believe his name is. Yes, Graham. Yes, Graham. You got all them, and you know what? That's another thing that really works for me in this episode. Actually, we're getting back to a dynamic which actually we haven't had. We have not had since the first Doctor era, specifically a family dynamic. Well, that's a lie. I mean, really, the 11th Doctor with the Ponds was a family dynamic, and it worked really, really well. So I really enjoyed that. And I feel like we're going to get a different kind of family dynamic in this one. So that's really a good start. And it was nice to see that they weren't really archetypes of characters. It's not like the classic series where a lot of the characters' identity traits were kind of defined by what their occupation was, and that pretty much is left to that. In this case, I liked that there was already some kind of history with these characters. Most of the time, it's always a bunch of strangers, like, all cobbled together, but I like there was this very strained history between Graham and Ryan. The idea that he is the step-granddad, and that they have to they're still having a hard time getting used to each other. There's also the fact that Ryan has a sort of condition which leaves him unable to feel coordinated, and he's a person who has sort of a hard time finding his own balance in life. And then you have Yaz, who's trying to set out to do good but feels restrained by her surroundings. And all of that makes for really good, compelling viewing. Now, as you may recall at the end of my Jodie Whittaker editorial on Close Examinations, my main concern with the run of this series all really just comes to Chris Chibnall. As I've said repeatedly in the past, Chibnall is not my favorite writer. He was not my favorite writer on Doctor Who, and though he definitely seemed to find his footing in season 2 of Torchwood, he was responsible for a lot of mediocre episodes in the first season, and he was the main writer on that show. So I am kind of still on the fence about how he's handling the story aspect to it. Now, to his credit, and I did watch Broadchurch. I know it's like saying, oh, if you want to see him at his best, watch Broadchurch. I did watch Broadchurch. And my feelings of him have pretty much gone on unabated. His grasp of storytelling is very shoddy, and he doesn't really do much when it comes to plotting. I mean, the plot of this debut episode is pretty straightforward. It's predictable. But the one thing I can give to his credit, the one thing he is particularly good at, is he's really good with action set pieces, and he's really good with characters. To his credit, the episodes of Doctor Who he did write, which I really enjoyed, were the Dinosaurs on a Spaceship and The Power of Three. And I think the reason why those episodes shine to me, and the reason why I enjoyed those the most, was because they focused more on the fun of that came from all the characters that he created for those episodes. Of course, he gave us Rory's dad, and he turned out to be the best thing in both those episodes. And I think that's really where he shines the most, is character. And so that's really a big plus in his favor. And I think if he keeps his focus on character throughout his regime on the show, that'll be great. That'll be fine, because fortunately the characters he's given us are spectacular. Now, I'm not going to really bring the hammer down too much. We'll have to see how the season goes, because most post-regeneration stories tend to be simple for the sake of allowing the audiences to kind of just come in and join in on the fray. Now, if he moves forward and still his grasp of really good plotting doesn't really blow my skirt up, then that's where I'm going to have some issues. And I think my main fear for this new regime of a head writer is that we kind of end up falling backwards, because, and I'll say it, I was a fan of Moffat's run, because I like the fact that he didn't pander. I like the fact he didn't hold your hand. I like the fact that he didn't just, his plot structure wasn't just like a big connect the dots. I like the fact that he left you to paint the picture on your own and come to your own conclusions. He challenged the audience. And I'm worried that Doctor Who may be going back to the Russell T Davies era, where we had great emotion, we had great characters, but the plotting was predictable, and I'm worried we may fall back into that. But once again, it's really too early to tell. Now, as far as some of the nuances of the story, I mean, the alien menace of this one, Tim Shaw, which I thought was hilarious, I thought was great, and I think a testament to any Doctor is how they respond to the threat. And I will say, the one of the things I love about Jodie, I love the way she responded to this threat. And as a testament to her mettle as the Doctor, as what we're seeing, if the fact that she could step up confidently and face off against this, visually, I'll say, very imposing villain, that speaks volumes for her. I'd say the only thing is, I'm with a lot of the masses where we're going, isn't this basically Predator? Now, not as hardcore as Predator, but I will say to the edge that this show is trying to go for, this version of the show is going for now. I mean, it definitely matched with the tone. It definitely had a lot of darkness, which it blended. There definitely wasn't a clash of tone, which is definitely to this new run's credit. So far, so good on that level. But in the end, it's still not a particularly impressive alien threat compared to what we're used to. And I admit, it's having your big badass alien warrior come from the Hershey kiss of death, that kind of diminished the effect for me. I mean, the whole thing with the teeth in the face was kind of cool, but even then, I'm still going, really, we're in Doctor Who, now we're getting into serial killer territory. Now, if you were to tell me that he's trying to get us back to maybe like the Philip Hinchcliffe era, I guess I could see where you're going there, and I guess I approve. Again, it's too early to tell. I mean, I guess I'll come to a more definitive conclusion by the end of this season. But for now, the thing that was the most important that this new run had to get across was this drastically different Doctor that we were getting, and to that end, it's a success. It is a success. And this new set of companions who are joining her for the fray, I'm totally sold on them too, and I'm really excited to see this different road that it goes on. I admit there's a lot of things I am excited about. I like the fact that what seems to be going through is this let's find the TARDIS thing. Oh, that was a nice touch. So there's little bits and bobs that are definitely going to make me go, yes, let's see where this goes. And I'll definitely say it still quintessentially feels like Doctor Who to me. So that's a definite plus. I think my major worries are still going to be the same. Is Chibnall going to be able to work for me as a head writer? Or are we going to kind of de-evolve back to the days of RTD? Who knows? We'll see. But I think in the future, I'm going to just do my reviews of Doctor Who in this video log format. So if you enjoy it, leave your feedback below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? That's what the comment section is for. In the meantime, stay tuned on Narcotic Casserole for the month of October as well, because every Friday we are going to have our Rare Delicacies Halloween editions, as we just did the Old Dark House. Next we're going to be doing House, just regular House, the one from Japan, not the one with William Cat. And we got a couple more to come. And then on Halloween Day, we're going to have a new edition of the Cinema Schlock Society. And then we've got Double November, the Villains Edition, all throughout the month of November. So, if you enjoyed this little bit, if you disagree, do you agree, leave it all in the comments. In the meantime, click Thou Shalt Be Served. Oh yeah, I gotta do that thing. Yes, and